Thank you very much indeed. Firstly, I wish to acknowledge the elders past and present, the Noongar people of this land on whom you stand. I'd also like to again pass my condolences to the family. What really is annoying about this process is that we shouldn't be locking people up for fine default. The key issue is that we should be working towards justice reinvestment, not locking people up. Justice reinvestment is about actually stopping people from offending in the first place. It's about those people who get close to offending actually being helped rather than locked up. The process that we've got in this government, which is about law and order, fails to take into account that unfortunately, because of fine default and those sorts of things, it is always the Aboriginal community that takes the brunt of the bullet. And in this case, we've got a young woman who passed away in the cells at Port Hedland and then was transported in the back of a paddy wagon to hospital, where after repeated attempts to resuscitate her, she was pronounced dead half an hour later. We know all the answers. The questions in Parliament have answered most of those. The Premier has said, I would get you an answer quickly. He said that to the young woman's mother here on the steps of Parliament, and still we don't have an answer. We must stop deaths in custody. We must stop putting people in jail for fine default. It isn't an answer. It isn't cost effective. It does nothing to help the situation. And if we hadn't had those police go round to that house and gain access to that house and got hold of the young woman and Dion Ruffin and taken them to jail, we wouldn't be here today on this issue. But I would point out that there are other people in Broome who are still waiting 2 years to hear the results of what happened to them in custody. There's supposed to be a coronial inquiry into that. 2 and a bit years later, it still hasn't happened. I just hope that you guys don't have to wait 2 years. But I'm more than happy to accept the petition. It's going to be a privilege to table it in Parliament, and I think it says quite clearly that when we've got 59,000 signatures online, that it is an issue across the nation, but it's being played out here in WA. My condolences again go to the family, and I will continue to work along with Josie Farah, who's down the back there, who's obviously got a significant issue, involvement in this issue. We will work tirelessly to ensure that Indigenous people do not bear the brunt of a draconian policy by this government to lock people up for minuscule offences. Thank you.
My name's Papalia. I'm the opposition spokesperson on prisons. I'd like to start by also acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land. And I want to point something out very clearly. Mate, could you come forward, please? This is why we're here. Colin Barnett stood on the steps of Parliament 4 months ago and made a promise to Miss Stu's mother. And that's the promise he made. He didn't say you'll be waiting 4 months later to get an answer. He didn't say he'd be sitting on his hands doing nothing over the Christmas period and let you worry about what's going to happen to other Aboriginal people going to prison. In November last year, I'm from the WA Labor Party, and Ben Wyatt and Josie Farah are here to support me and represent our party on this matter. In November last year, we released a report that showed that 1 in every 3 women in prison in Western Australia are there just because they can't pay their fines. 1 in every 3 women, and two-thirds of those women are Aboriginal. 2/3 of the women in prison in Western Australia, because they can't, and 1/3 of all the women in Western Australia in prison are there because they can't pay fines, and 2/3 of them are Aboriginal. That isn't good enough. It's very simple, Premier. All you have to do is change the rules governing fine default.
That's right.
People should be doing work in the community to pay off their fines, not going to prison.
Yes.
It costs $345 a day to lock somebody up. They spend $43 a day on people doing work in the community. A little bit more of that money.
Price. What about my daughter's life?
Absolutely.
That's only $300.
That's right. That's right. There is no price on a life. You can't die in prison if you're not there in the first place. People should be given the chance to do work in the community, and they should be supported in doing that rather than going to prison. I've got to tell you, there's something else that's clear too. Apart from the fine defaulters, we now know that 1 in every 3 Aboriginal women in prison, apart from the fine defaulters, are on remand. That means they haven't even been sentenced. They haven't had their day in court to determine whether they're guilty or not, and they're sitting in prison.
Why do they
That's a fair question. It's very likely that those people don't have the money to pay for bail, and that's why they ended up in prison. I'm calling on the Premier today to immediately look at those 1 in 3 women, Aboriginal women who are in prison because they're on remand, and find out how many of them are just there because they're too poor to pay for bail. What can you do about that? You can create a system whereby they don't have to come up with the money. You can probably give them something like a HEX loan, get them out of prison because they don't need to be there right now. They don't need to be exposed to the threat of dying in prison.
Excuse me, you said Edstone. What Edstone? Death?
No, I said something else. I know what you're saying. Look, in the end, you can't die in custody if you're not there. There are a lot of Aboriginal people in Western Australia. 1 in every 6 of all Aboriginal people, including the men, are there just for fine default.
What are you going to do to address the 70% in juvenile detention black population?
That's right. Well, it starts in juveniles. But right now, there are some simple things the Premier can do. He can answer the Jew family, answer the questions that they asked, keep his promise he made 4 months ago, and reduce the number of Aboriginal people in prison today. It's very simple. We've given them a whole lot of solutions right now. It's not that hard.
Is that I do have an announcement to make, which is that the Premier has agreed to meet with the family in Port Hedland where this happened, and that's due to take place in mid-April. So that is something that will be very important to the family, and they've also agreed to meet with the Watch Committee. Okay, we've just got 2 more speakers and then we're kind of done. Now, the next speaker is it's a great privilege to have him here. He's just got back from the same place that Vanessa's been, and is the uncle of Miss Jew. And he's been going around the country protesting and making sure that his niece's life wasn't lost in vain. So please welcome Shaun Harris to say a few words.
Not much for public speakers, so please bear with me again. Been a bit flat out since things happened. I just prepared a quick statement which I wrote this morning to shorten it up, so to speak. First of all, I would like to thank and acknowledge the traditional owners and that we are standing on stolen land. My name is Shaun Harris. I'm Julieka's uncle from Midwest WA on the Nunda Waziri Yamaji. Yes, know about Julieka, who died in South Hedland last August. It's been almost 7 months since she was deprived of her liberty and treated like an animal and died as a result of systemic racism inflicted by the system on more than one level. This is why we want answers and justice. as well as accountability of the system and all perpetrators involved in the senseless and shocking murder of my beautiful niece Julieka. If Colin Barnett, the West Australian Premier, wants to seriously help to stop and prevent deaths in custody, well then Colin Barnett needs to actually start implementing the damn recommendations from the Royal Commission. And yesterday, so to speak, at that, a rough average of only about 10% of the 339 recommendations are actually being implemented in Western Australia, which is shocking and disgraceful. That's continual genocide that's being inflicted on our sovereign peoples via deaths in custody. This is genocide, no matter which angle you look at it. It's genocide, simple, plain, ethnic cleansing. We represent 4% around of the West Australian population, with the black female prison population being approximately 50%, with black juvenile detention rates being around a staggering 70%. That's genocide. We demand a custom notification service, like they have in New South Wales. They have had not one death in custody since they implemented that. Remove the hanging points. Little bloody things. We demand, most of Julieka's campaign demands are try and help prevent further senseless deaths in custody. You made a promise, Colin Barnett, so please help bring us all real answers and real justice with real convictions and start implementing the damn recommendations. United we stand, divided we fall. I'd like to thank you all tremendously for everybody to take time to show up today to support and contribute to help to fight the cause. As extremely appreciated by Julieka's family and friends, both close and extended, and also by everyone else involved with Julieka's